Welcome to biology online classes. So, in the previous classes, we have seen the endomembrane systems. So, the endomembrane system includes what? Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, isn't it? And vacuoles. So, now we are going to study about some other organelles like mitochondria. Okay. So, mitochondria that can be seen only if it is stained specially. Understood? Means in the cytoplasm, we cannot see them if it is not stained specially, okay, under the microscope. Then, how many mitochondria will be there in a cell? That also depends upon the physiological activities. Okay, so for example, in sperm cells, okay, there is a cloud of mitochondria. Understood? Because they have to move, and likewise, which kind of function they do, on that basis the number of mitochondria varies. Okay, and the size and shape also can be varied. Okay, different types are there, and typically or generally, if you talk, it's a sausage shaped or cylindrical type of cell organ. Okay, and having 0.2 to 1 μm and okay, diameter and length what 1.0 to 4.1 μm. Okay, so this is the size of them. And when you see the structure of a mitochondria, it is double layered. Okay, it's having a double layered membrane. Okay, and outer membrane and inner membrane. Okay, the outer membrane, the two layers will be there in the membrane, and the one which is outside is known as outer membrane, and the one which is inside is known as inner membrane. And this divides, okay, the cavity inside it into two compartments. Understood? The cavity inside the mitochondria is divided into two specific compartments. Okay, that is the outer compartment and the inner compartment. Inner compartment means what? It is forming the matrix. Okay, matrix, and the outer membrane forms the continuous limiting boundary for the cell, this organelle. Okay, 10. The inner membrane is having a number of foldings. You can see here, isn't it? So these foldings are known as cristae. Okay, they are known as cristae. So what is the function of cristae? Cristae increases the surface area. Okay, and they are associated. Okay, they are associated with ATP synthesis. Understood? So mitochondria, these are the site of aerobic respiration, isn't it? So they produce what? ATPs. ATPs they are producing from what? The oxidation of food. We have studied in 10th class, isn't it? After digestion of food, that will be absorbed and it will be taken to each cells by the blood. So when it reaches to the blood will absorb the glucose. Okay, means from blood the cell will get the glucose. This glucose will enter the cell, and there it enters into the mitochondria, isn't it? If it is aerobic respiration, we have studied in the cytoplasm. After glycolysis, pyruvic acid will form, and pyruvic acid enters into the mitochondria. So in mitochondria, what will happen? The production of ATP. ATPs are known as what? The energy currency, isn't it? So these are produced inside the mitochondria. Understood? So that's what they are known as powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria is known as what? Powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because they produce ATP. From where they produce ATP? From the food, isn't it? Food, after digestion, I told, it will be absorbed, and then the blood takes it to the cells, and when it enters into the cell, what happens? It will undergo glycolysis and form pyruvic acid, isn't it? And then pyruvic acid can enter into the mitochondria, and there ATP synthesis takes place. Means oxidation of pyruvic acid takes place. During that, what happened? Energy released is used to make the ATP in the mitochondria. Is it clear? So, this is what mitochondria is known as what powerhouse of the cell, and the matrix is also having a single circular DNA, then what RNA molecules, ribosomes which are similar to the prokaryotic cells. Okay, what is the ribosomes of prokaryotic cells? They are 70s, isn't it? So these all are means the single circular DNA is also one kind of what only, one kind of prokaryotic feature only, isn't it? So this are present in the matrix of the mitochondria. Just imagine it is found inside an organelle. Okay, in addition to what? The nuclear DNA. Understood? In addition to the nuclear, in DNA where you can find in the nucleus, and in addition to that, mitochondria are having what? Their own DNA and RNA and ribosomes. Okay, so they can prepare what the proteins. Understood? So the mitochondria, is it clear to everyone why they are known as powerhouse of the cell and what is the structure of a mitochondrion? Now the next cell organelle that we have to study is plastids. Okay, so plastids are found only in plant cells. We have studied when we study the difference between plants and animals. Cell, isn't it? Plastids are present in plant cells. And also euglenoids, you have learned, euglenoids, they are actually one kind of protozoans, photosynthetic protozoans, and which shows what the characteristic of both plants and animals. Okay, so euglenoids you can see and in plant cells. Okay, then they, when we observe, okay, under the microscope we can means see that, okay, in sophisticated microscopes. Then they, what is the speciality of them? They bear pigments. Various pigments are there. Understood? And in this way they give color to the plants, isn't it? So based on the type of pigments present in plastids, they are classified into chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. So the chlorophyll containing, okay, plastids are known as chloroplasts. They contain what? Chlorophylls and carotenoids. Okay, and which is necessary for photosynthesis. And chromoplast are what? They are containing fat soluble carotenoid pigments. Okay, carotenoid pigments like what? Carotene, then what? Xanthophylls, etc. Understood? So they gives color to the plants. You can see different kinds of colors are there in some leaves, red, yellow, isn't it? So these are provided by carotenoids. Understood? Then carotenoids and the chromoplast, okay, which contains this carotenoid pigments, means the plastids containing carotenoids are known as what? Chromoplast. And one more type is there. What is that? Leucoplast. Leucoplast are colorless plastids. Okay, they are not having any color or pigments. Actually, they are storing what? The food materials. Okay, so on the basis of what kind of food materials they store, they are of different types like amyloplast. Okay, amyloplast are those plastids which bear or which store carbohydrates. Understood? And eleoplast are the plastids which store what? The fat. Okay, and aleuroplast, they stores proteins. So what are plastids? They are cell organelles which carries what? Various, or which contain various pigments. Understood? And then I told they are of different types, depends upon the what the pigments they bear. Chloroplast, what they contain? Chlorophylls and carotenoids. Chromoplast, they contain what? They contains the carotenoid pigments like what? The carotene, xanthophylls, etc. Okay, and then leucoplasts are colorless plastids. They are not having pigments, but they are storing what? The food materials. So on the basis of what kind of food material they are storing, they are of different types. For example, amyloplast, they bear carbohydrates or starch. Potato, example, okay. Then elaioplast, they store what? Oils and fats. Aleuroplast stores the proteins, okay. Then the chloroplast, mainly they are found in mesophyll cells, and when you see the shape, they are lens shaped, oval, spherical, discoid, ribbon like. Okay, you have seen the ribbon like chloroplast of Spirogyra under the microscope, right? So, likewise, what their shape may vary, and especially in chlorophyce of algae, you can see different kinds of, okay, chloroplast. For example, Chlamydomonas, they are having a cup shaped one, okay, and we have seen, I told, in Spirogyra they are ribbon shaped. So their shapes may vary, and their number also varies, okay. Like in Chlamydomonas, there is only one cup shaped big chloroplast, but that can be 20 to 40 per cell in the mesophyll. What are mesophyll? The cells of leaves are called what? Mesophyll cells. And when you see the structure of a chloroplast, they are having a membrane with two layers. Okay, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. Okay, and among these two, the inner membrane is less permeable, means it will not allow easily the materials, and the limit or the space between these two membrane, okay, is known as periplastidal space, and the space that is found inside the inner membrane is known as stroma. So what is the matrix of chloroplast known as? It is known as the stroma, okay. And you can see in the stroma there are a number of flattened membranous sac like structures called thylakoids. So what are thylakoids? They are membranous sac like structures arranged one above the other, okay, and they are just like what coins kept up one above the other, understood? So each of this are known as what? Thylakoids. And thylakoids, when they are arranged in stacks like piles of coil, then we call it as what? Grana. Okay, so grana is what? Each membrane is known as thylakoid. You can see in the diagram here. Okay, each of this is known as thylakoid, and when they are arranged in one group, okay, when they are arranged one above the other and form a what? Single stack like structure, then we call it as what? The grana. Okay, so what are the two parts of chloroplast? One is stroma. What is stroma? The membrane. Sorry, the matrix. The matrix of the chloroplast is known as what? The stroma. And in the stroma, what you can see? You can see the membranous sac-like structure. Each of that is known as what? Thylakoids. And when they are present, okay, as stacks, okay, like the piles of coins, then we call it as grana, okay, or intergranal thylakoids, okay. And then in addition to that, there are flat membranous tubules. They are known as what? Stroma lamella, that connects the thylakoids of the different grana, okay. So you can see these are what? Stroma thylakoids, okay, which connects the adjacent grana, understood? The adjacent grana has different thylakoids, and they are connected by what? The stroma lamella or stroma thylakoids, understood? Then the stroma of the chloroplast is also having enzymes required for the protein synthesis, okay. Then synthesis of carbohydrates, okay. And this is also an example of a semi-autonomous organelle. We have learned one. What is that? Mitochondria. What is semi-autonomous organelle? Means it is having its own DNA, then what? The ribosomes, etc., and it can what? Do protein synthesis, understood? So protein synthesis can be done, and the double stranded circular DNA which is present in chloroplast are actually similar to the prokaryotic DNA. Okay, we have learned, isn't it? In prokaryotic, the DNA is double stranded circular DNA. Understood? So same thing you can see here, and they are also having the ribosomes. Okay, and the pigments where they are arranged in the thylakoids. Okay, the ribosomes which are found in the chloroplast is smaller, that is also similar to the prokaryotic one, that is 70s. Understood? And then I told the DNA, okay, is there, and also the ribosomes are there, so they can prepare their own proteins. Understood? They can make their own proteins, and the enzymes are present in the matrix. And you see the chloroplast are having two different what sides you can see. One is stroma, the matrix, isn't it? Matrix of chloroplast is known as what? Stroma. And then you can see the thylakoids arranged in the stroma. So thylakoids, I told, the group of thylakoids are known as the grana. Understood? Now photosynthesis takes place in two different phases. One is light phase and the other is dark phase. So light reaction takes place in the grana because the pigments are present in where? In the thylakoids, not in the stroma. Understood? They are arranged in the thylakoids or grana, and that is the site of what? Light reaction. And dark reaction, okay, we will study this in detail in the photosynthesis chapter. Anyway, the photosynthesis, the dark phase of photosynthesis takes place in stroma, and light phase where? In the grana. Understood? So these are the different features of what? Chloroplast. So what we have learned about different types of plastids depends upon their pigments. Okay, then we have studied the structure of the plastid chloroplast. Okay, double membrane. Then what? The matrix known as stroma, and in that what is arranged? Different types of thylakoid membranes. When they are arranged one above the other, they form the grana, and the grana are connected by stroma lamellae or stroma thylakoids. Okay, then I told the dark reaction takes place where? In the stroma, and light reaction in the grana. Understood? Then their matrix is having their own DNA and ribosomes, and the DNA and ribosomes are similar to what? The prokaryotic cell. And because of this, chloroplast is also an example for semi-autonomous organelle. Understood? So this much is very clear. Today we have studied about two organelles, mitochondria and the chloroplast. Thank you very much.